I'm Rob Skinner, and this is the Rob Skinner podcast. Today on my podcast, I'm going to be talking to Braxton and Jinky Kieft. Braxton and Jinky have been leading a church in Northwest Indiana in the suburbs of Chicago, and they've got the dream to plant a church in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. In Sioux Falls, there is a satellite, a very small group of disciples there, but they've decided to form a team, raise money, and plant a church in the near future. All this and more on the Rob Skinner podcast. Welcome back to the Rob Skinner podcast. My goal is to inspire you to live a no regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Braxton and Jinky, welcome to the program.
Good to be here, Rob. Sorry, it's a little pixelated or distorted. I don't know if it's our internet connection, but good to be here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. No, it's great to have you on the program. I got a call from you. I can't remember how I heard about it, but I heard through somebody that you were thinking about planting a church in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That is so exciting.
Yeah, no, we're really excited. Yeah, I think I called you a couple weeks ago just to get some input from you, and appreciate you sent us some books that you had written, and but great to reconnect. It's been we see you here and there, but it's been a journey since we were both in Arizona, and now we're in different locations.
Yeah, catch me up. It's been a while since we last talked on the podcast, and I interviewed you about your conversion and your time in Guam, and then in Phoenix. And where have you been since we last talked? What's been going on with you guys?
All right, so we have moved back to the Midwest, and we were converted in Chicago, so being in Indiana is just 45 minutes away from downtown Chicago. And it's been such a wonderful being reunited to the Chicago church and getting to know the church here in Northwest Indiana. Um Jinky wanted to share a few updates about our kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just been great being close to family. Our daughter Roanne, she's 16. She just got her driver's license, so she's driving everywhere. And she's she's a sophomore in high school. She became a disciple in 2023. So excited about that. And then our son Zachariah, he's 21. He's a junior in college at NIU. So he's enjoying the campus ministry in DeKalb. So just great to have a lot of family times. That's been such a blessing.
That's
It
awesome.
is. And
Great.
we love been such a unique time here in a good way, because we're connected to small church and a small church initiative. You might be familiar with Joel Nagel's got a group of a bunch of the Midwest small church leaders in the Midwest. We meet regularly, but along with that, we're now international. We have people meeting from Milan, Italy, and other places overseas. I think Ireland. And so we're really connected to the small churches, but we also are connected to Chicago. So we get to go to staff with them, meet with the ministry center leaders, and get to be privy to some of the behind the scenes decisions that are made there, and share some things that we think could be helpful. And so it's just it's just a unique experience being part of a small church, but also having one foot in the door of a big church.
Yeah.
What's the name of the church you lead?
It's the Northwest Indiana Church of Christ.
Okay, so where is that? What's the city it's attached to? For
So
those who aren't
currently we
familiar with the Midwest.
Sure. So currently we meet in Hammond, Indiana, and we do a space share with another church there in the city, and they've been great partners with us. We have a noon service, and we're roughly 50 members, and some of them were actually part of the Chicago church at one time, but Aaron and Julie Brefford got the church started here in 2010, I believe.
Hmm.
And just great to come in and be part of it and love up on this group. And it's been a great experience.
So it was formerly like a part of the Chicago church, then broke off and formed its own independent church that's related to the church in Chicago. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So they're part of one of the ministry centers, and yeah, and then they formalized it. Said, why not have our own church in our own state?
Yeah.
That's right. Makes sense. Okay, so what got you interested in planting a church in Sioux Falls? How did this happen?
Well, it's such an interesting journey. Like
Yeah.
about, I'd say early last year, Jinky and I were just driving somewhere, and in my mind, I'm just floating conversations like, what would it be like to plant a church? I'm like, it's something that, we've been overseas, we've had some different ministry experiences, but what would it be like to plant a church? And Jinky's first reaction is, no way. I will never do that,
God had to really change my heart.
And she'll share a little bit about how God worked in her heart there. But so I'd have these conversations and I'd pray about it. And then I talked to my parents who actually helped plant a church back when I was a kid growing up. And I remember this. We met in a high school, and they just shared about how they had different community leaders and how they worked through their church conference. And it was just inspiring to hear their story again. Then I went to a small church conference that fall, and a brother, Kurt Flinchbaugh, he leads the Lehigh Valley Church in Pennsylvania, and he was sharing about his experiences planting a church. And I was so inspired, so moved, and that's really what got the ball rolling and praying and thinking about it. And somewhere along the way, I heard the Midwest was saying, "Hey, we're planting a church in Sioux Falls," and I think I'd heard the message before, but it had never connected with me. I'm like, hey, that's a great thing to do. I believe in planting churches, but Jinky and I, our thought was, we bought a house, we planted our roots. Our family is all here in the Midwest, about an hour drive and away. We just were like, all right, we're probably going to spend the rest of our life here in the suburbs of Indiana.
Right. And so I've never even heard of Sioux Falls till about 5 months ago. But yeah, I know. So when Braxton mentioned about a church planting, right away, I was like, no, no way. But then, the more we talked about it, I really considered. So I went from no to willingness. And then I feel like this is totally God's calling. And I had to be in a space where there was silence and solitude to just have some clarity. Like, God, putting my emotions aside, what is your will? What do you want? And so, um, he was just putting on my heart, I want you to go to Ephesians 1. This was after maybe a half hour of just contemplation and prayer. And I'm like, is this a calling for us? Because Braxton's hearing from you, but I'm not.
Right,
Like,
right.
is this a calling for us? Is this a calling for me? So, and I went to Ephesians 1, and right away when I turned to Ephesians 1, verse 18, this was underlined and circled. Like, okay, God, is this a calling for us? It says, I have called you. And I was like, okay, God, I'm totally surrendered. You had made it so clear for me. Because for me, it's like I need such clarity. And of course, I was in tears. And I'm like, okay, God, from here on out, I'm surrendered to that. So he made it totally evident from my heart. And so from there on, I've just been focused on praying for the mission team and what God has in store for us.
That's great. Okay,
Um,
talk a little bit about Sioux Falls. Why Sioux Falls? Maybe you can explain a little bit of the background and um, a little bit about the city.
Sure. So we heard the story of Shannon and Janella Vanzi.
mm,
Shannon and Janella live there currently, and he had a dream for Sioux Falls. He went to college in South Dakota,
yeah.
but moved away and I think was living in Texas at the time. But he looked at the map and he was considering, man, there's churches that have been planted by our fellowship all throughout the United States. But he looked at this corridor and he's like, there's no churches in South Dakota. There's no churches in our fellowship in North Dakota, in the entire state. And so he's like, hey, God, could you plant a church there? And he prayed about it for years. And then God says, well, why don't you move there?
Right.
And so him and his wife got advice and they connected with the Omaha church, which is nearby, about 2.5 hours south, for a few years. And then they made their way up to Sioux Falls and moved there. And so they've been there for 7.5 years. And what's so inspiring to me is, man, it's just them. There was no church planting, there was no funding. They just said, we're just going to move. And so they've been sharing their faith, helping some people become disciples. And with primarily them, and they've had a few other couples, but they've raised over $90,000
Yeah.
to get the church going. And so here we are, almost 8 years later from the beginning of the time they moved there. And it's humbling to think, man, God worked it out for them to be there first, to be boots on the ground, but paved the way for us here in 2026. And so inspired by their story.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of David
Amazing.
preparing the temple to be built and putting together all the beams and the rafters and the gold and the everything involved in it, even though he wasn't the one to build the temple. Uh, I met Shannon in 2019 at the Look Up Small Church Leadership Conference in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and I was inspired by him. And I was like, wow, this is such a great spirit. And he was just gung ho about getting the church going. He's working a full-time job as a physical trainer, I believe. And in 2021, I was able to drive through there on a motorcycle trip from San Diego to Boston and interviewed him for the podcast. And that was really fun just to see him. But I was so thrilled when I heard that you guys were going to be planting a church in Sioux Falls, because he has just been holding out for such a long time. And I'm really grateful that God has heard his prayers and sent reinforcements to build something there. So super, super excited about that. Okay, how big is the city of Sioux Falls? Tell me a little bit about the demographics.
Sure. So Sioux Falls is roughly 225,000, and the metropolitan area is 300,000. It's the fastest growing city in all of the Midwest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Last year, it grew by 5,000, and it's a booming economy. And for businesses, it makes sense. It's very tax friendly. There's no income tax in the state, so there's a nudge to move there. I think I don't think they even pay corporate income tax, so there's a lot of reasons to move there. Family friendly. We visited there in the middle of January, probably on the coldest day of the year.
It was like negative 25 degrees, wind chill.
What
We went
was the
outside and
temperature?
we're like, whoa, it was probably negative 20. It was a cold day.
It was really cool.
And we thought everybody would be huddled inside, but we went downtown and hundreds of people. We're talking moms with babies and strollers, families walking their dog. They're just shopping and getting coffee, and like, man, what a cool city. And they're hearty and they're family oriented. And it's a beautiful city. Now we were there, of course, when it was cold and everything was frozen, but my goodness, a waterfall running through the heart of the city. The state itself has incredibly beautiful state parks. Of course, people know of Mount Rushmore on the other side of the state.
The Badlands.
The Badlands. Who wouldn't want to go to a place where buffalo and horses still roam free? That actually is not even a movie. It's actually happening.
Yeah, I was so impressed by the city. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. It's a beautiful area. I didn't get to see the falls. I guess there is an actual falls right there in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Okay, but I didn't get to see that part. Okay, what's your plan? Like, to outline the plan that you have to get this church off the ground.
Sure. So fortunately, we have the backing of the MMA, which is the Midwest Mission Alliance, and so they're giving us support to get things going for the first 3 years, along with the money that's been saved in Sioux Falls. And what Jinky and I are doing right now is we're kind of going on a tour of Midwest churches. We spent the month of March going to all the Chicago ministry centers, looking for people that would join the mission team. And so it's been a whirlwind, feel like an itinerant preacher. And We're going to go to Minneapolis this weekend, and then Detroit, and then Indianapolis the week after that. And we'll hit a few other Midwest churches. And so right now we're just building the team. And I'd say we have, I'd say 5 or 6 at this point that are really solid. And we're still looking to build on that. But so inspired by people that still have the dream to go on the mission. Like, Jinky, maybe you could share a little bit about the first couple that showed interest in going on the team.
Yeah, they were reading a passage in, was it in Romans? Anyways, they were just so inspired by taking a leap of faith to do this. They're in their young 30s, and we had been praying, God, please give us a confirmation by Sunday. And this was like a few weeks ago. They called us on Saturday night and they said, we are committed to go. And
Wow.
it was just so amazing to hear their heart. Like, you know what? I think this is the time for us to go. And we really want to make a difference. And so I just really love them taking a leap of faith and wanting to be used by God. And I also love their heart that, we want to make sure that we're not so busy. We just want to get 40-hour work week so that we're available for the ministry and that we have the time to help and build. So that was so refreshing to hear from them. I love that kind of heart.
That's
So
awesome.
we got
That's
a
great.
young professional so far.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How many people, how many disciples are in the area already?
So I think outside the Van Z's, I believe there's 2 others. Like the church at one time had grown to a number of 10. I think right now it's just 3 or 4 disciples there, but
Okay.
primarily the Van Z's and a few families that live a little bit outside the city.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And how many people are you hoping to gather for your team?
We are going for 30, which
Good.
that's a leap of faith to ask that. And my wife and I have been praying every day for that. And you can remember, Rob, maybe 25, 30 years ago, there was a time where we'd say, hey, we're going to plant a church, and you would have to turn people away. Um, and so we're finding that it's a longer conversation and people need a little time to digest it. But what's been encouraging is, we're a month in and now people are really starting to, it's gathering momentum. People have thought and prayed and
Yeah.
considering. We're looking for 30 people. 30 people, and I think I heard one of your podcasts not too long ago, Rob, but there's something about a critical mass of 30 where it has the feeling and the vibe of a church.
Yep.
And we're looking for people of all different varieties of spiritual gifts and talents. We're looking for not just young professionals, but people in the middle of their life. We're looking for empty nesters, those that are shepherds. I had a great talk just yesterday with a man that's been around the kingdom since 1978. So he's almost 50 years old in the Lord, and he wants to join the mission team.
Amen.
And
Awesome.
so he's trying to talk his son and his daughter-in-law to going with them. They want to be a package deal. I'm like, we take families. We'd be
That's
happy
right.
to bring on a group like that. And I think this church planting is probably a little bit different than maybe the typical model. And what I mean by that is a lot of churches are centered around a campus. This is going to be a family-centric church planting. They do have a few smaller colleges in the city, but we're really looking to build with moms and dads, those with kids, those that are working, and then we'll hit the campuses maybe in year 5 down the road. So this is going to have a little bit of a different feel than maybe church plantings of old.
Yeah. We believe in the 5 F's: faith, family, fellowship, food, and we got to have a lot of fun.
That sounds like a fantastic combination. That's great. That's good. I'm glad you've
Yes.
got your mottos set down. That's fantastic. Okay. So, like, when are you guys going? Like, what do you have a target date for when you'd like to get this going? What's the time frame look like?
So we're looking to move there end of June, early July. We're, just getting our house ready to sell right now. And so we're asking people that, want to be on the initial wave of the team to arrive there in early July. And we're open to people coming in, late this year, spring of next year, maybe a year from today. We've had some people that already say, hey, I just need a year to get things together and we'll be there in 2027. But ultimately, we're looking for July of this summer to be our initial, landing. And hey, where's the grocery store? Where can we live?
Right.
What are the main streets? And hopefully people at this point have already had some job interviews and they'll have something lined up before they set foot on the ground.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you plan on going there in June or July. And then when's the official inauguration or first service? Like when do you plan on getting it all started officially?
So we're targeting the beginning of October as our inaugural service.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we'll find the right facility. And we've had, with our connections with Chicago, we've had a lot of people say they want to come. So maybe we'll have 300 or 400 people there.
That'd be
We'll see
great.
what
Oh, that's
God does, but that
exciting.
would be pretty
That's
encouraging.
great. How long of a drive is it from Chicago to get there?
It's about what, 8 or 9
8 to
hours?
9,
Okay.
$8 to 9.
but it's
Great.
only about an hour flight. So
Just
that's
have an
doable.
awesome missions weekend. What major cities are you closest to it in Sioux Falls?
I would say the closest big cities are Sioux City, which I think is in Iowa. There's Omaha, Nebraska, which is about 2.5 hours south. Minneapolis, Minnesota, roughly 4 hours
Got it.
Yeah.
north. I'm still getting my topography right. Des Moines, Iowa is about 3 or 4 hours away. And so it's a unique type of situation because it's a sizable city with a booming economy, but outside of the city itself are very, very small towns. We're talking, a couple hundred, a couple of thousand. So there's not really any large cities nearby.
Got it. Okay. It's probably why it wasn't planted earlier because it's fairly remote, I would guess. Okay. Are your kids going to go with you?
Yep. Well, our daughter is, she's still in high school, but our son is gonna finish off college. Next year, he'll be a senior, but he plans to come and join us for the summer, so I'm
That's
excited
awesome.
about that.
Okay. How did you break it to your daughter?
Yeah.
Wasn't that tough for her to uproot? How'd that go?
I appreciate the kids, just their faith. I mean, it was hard at first, but the more we talked about it, discussed, and prayed, her heart just started changing. And, when we visited, a month ago, their daughter, the Vanzie's daughter, Daniela, they're about the same age and they're both adopted. So they connected right away about just a lot of commonalities. And so um, I'm just grateful for her. And I think we have a family that's filling out the application right now that has a teen disciple. So if they come, that's 3 teenagers. We're like, yes, the youth and family right there. So we'll see what God does.
That's great.
So she's
Okay.
excited. I
Nice.
really do appreciate her faith. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's a big step and it's scary, but that's fantastic you guys are going. Tell me about your first 90 days. When you first get there, what's your game plan? What are your initial, objectives when you arrive there?
No, that's a great question. When you're building a mission team from all different churches and all different cultures, I believe one of the most important things is to build unity, to build a close knit relationship. So a lot of our first 90 days is just going to be getting to know each other. Certainly, we're going to have Saturday devotionals and we'll be out sharing our faith and doing some in the park services throughout the summer
yeah.
to be outwardly focused. But a lot is going to be having meals together, praying together, dreaming together, Maybe we'll have some sleepovers. We'll put a bunch of sleeping bags in the living room, camp out under the stars in the backyard, sing some songs together. But it's as you know, Rob, building unity is so important, and for a church planting of a group of people that they have the same heart, but they don't really know each other. It takes a little bit of time to gel and to bond. So we want to be purposeful about that.
Yeah.
I'm grateful we have Colin and Beth Sherrill are going to be helping mentor us through this process. They lead a church in Minneapolis, but they planted the church in Des Moines, and that's what they did, and that had great success. And so we want to, emulate what they did, build right, and really build a culture of family
Yeah.
and sharing as you go. I mean, of course, there's an initial period where evangelism is certainly higher than in your day to day if you're in an established church. But we want to build it right. We want to have a measured approach, and so that's what we're thinking over the first 90 days.
That's great. One of the things that I really enjoyed when we went to Tucson in 2012 is we spent that first 3 to 6 months before the initial inauguration called it Fall in Love with Tucson. And every Saturday we would just do some type of day trip, going to a different place, whether it's Tombstone, Arizona, or going up to Mount Lemmon. It is such a fun time, and creating that sense of unity is amazing. I mean, there you have few opportunities like being on a mission team to really get close to people. It really bonds you because you're always in studies together with people. You're doing things together constantly. You have a lot to look forward to. So I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a really, really fun time. Good weather. It'll be warm. It'll be sunny, and that's a really
Yes.
good plan you've got going there. Okay, if someone wanted to
Yeah.
go, what would they need to know? What would they need to do? How could they
S-
prepare? What should they do?
Well, I think a good question to ask is, what would be your motivation to go on a mission team?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think if people already have established a great walk with God, where they understand that, evangelism is still part of our life as disciples, and they believe in deep relationships, whether you call it mentoring or prayer partners or discipling. We're looking for people that they have some good solid disciplines in their life. They're walking with Jesus. They're in love with him. I think occasionally we'll hear, man, I have my walk with God is not where it should be, and man, maybe going on a mission team would make it right. And we're like, no, no, it won't. You got to get that together first.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
And then
true.
I think the other thing is we want people that are understand that this is a risk. There's accounting of the cost. I mean, people should know going in that while it's going to be a lot of fun and an adventure and it's going to be new, if you've never moved away from home before, you will be homesick. You will have moments in where you're like, did I make the right choice? And even if you're in a lot of Bible studies and people are being baptized and things are going spectacularly well, you're still going to feel homesick. It's going to be new. People should expect to be intentional in building relationships. It's not just going to happen to you. You're going to have to be aggressive, be on the phone, calling, making it happen. So we're looking for people that are initiators and love hospitality. What do you think, babe? What are some things people feel like they need to know coming into this church planning?
Well, I know for myself, it took a lot of prayer, and it does. It's sacrifice, and I don't know. I feel like it's taken more sacrifice and courage on my part because I'm such a family person. But is it really God's calling? Like, I had to get clarity from God, and He made it so clear. And so that's where obedience comes. But then it's going to take a lot of intentionality. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but it is going to be a lot of fun, like you said.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I think I was inspired by one of your messages about um prayer that, we ask and God's already given it. So we've been approaching prayer in all aspects of just the journey in this, that God, you've already done it. You already know the hearts of the people. You already know their faces and their names, and you're going to provide. And we're just trusting God's process in all of it.
That's so
So,
exciting. I'm so happy for you guys. Let's talk a little bit about your vision for the church. You talked a little bit about your motto, the 5 F's, which I think is fantastic. You've talked about that you're going to be a family oriented, definitely plays to your strengths. I mean, I remember interviewing you guys and talking about the work that you did in Guam and how successful that was and all the people coming out to become Christians there. Let's go on a little time travel machine. Let's just go to the summer of 2027. After you've been there a year, looking back on the past year, how will you know it's been a success? How will you know you've gone off the right foot? To kind of describe what you would like to see of the successful first year in Sioux Falls. Describe the
Oh,
church.
I love that. No, that's a fantastic question. It's well, we'll know it's not a success if I'm flipping bison burgers a year from now. We know that. Um,
yeah,
but I think a year away, what I envision is a very close knit team where we've really helped some people follow Jesus. And I don't know exactly what that number would be. I mean, is that 15 people added to the Lord within a year's time? I'm not sure. We'll see what God has to do with that. But I think where people are able to dream that, man, God still loves the lost. God still has a dream for people to follow him, and where the mission becomes just part of our life.
yeah,
Like
Okay.
we want to build a culture of family and faith. And there, of course, there's fun, fellowship. I love the 5 F's that Jinky shared there, but family and faith, where we're we're closer to each other in the first year than maybe relationships they've built over the last 10 years. Because when you're in the trenches, when it's on you to make sure that the church happens, boy, that forges relationships. So I envision family. I envision, maybe some singles that come on the trip. Maybe they spark an interest. We hear of love stories when people go on mission teams, and so
That's
hey,
right.
if you're looking for a partner, God can move through a mission team.
Yeah.
Um, I think the other thing is that people have a deeper walk with Jesus themselves, and they realize, because we're gonna have people on that team that are 3, 4, 5 years old as a disciple. And then if this one gentleman comes I spoke with who's almost 50 years old in the Lord,
yeah,
we want people to see that, man, what a milestone in our faith. Like, I love the story of how Joshua, when he crosses the river of the Jordan to go to Jericho, and they take these stones out of the riverbed and they make a monument, and there's one in the middle of the riverbed, and there's one on the shore, and it's so we can tell our children, hey, what happened here, what event happened here, and we want to make a monument where, our first year in, that, man, look at what God has done in our first year, and we'll be able to tell our children and those that come after us all that God did in Sioux Falls.
yeah.
That's
We
awesome.
want to build right. And so I feel like we want to build that culture of Acts 2:42, right? Devoted to God and devoted to one another, and that we can be a light to the community and that they see our love for one another and how we take care of each other, that God will just pour in the people and bring them in. So we want to build that culture right from the beginning.
That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about money. Do you guys have enough support? Are you looking for additional donors?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. We're really blessed that up front, we certainly have some good resources with the Midwest Mission Alliance and the Sioux Falls. It's more for like going into years 4, 5, and 6 that our hope is that we've really helped to convert those that can not just contribute spiritually, but are able to contribute financially, and will be self-supporting in years, maybe sometime between years 3 and year 4. But there's always the need for resources, and so one thing the Midwest does when we have special missions contributions, and our part of the world gives to Eurasian missions, but a portion of those special missions go to the Midwest Mission Alliance that helped plant the church in Kalamazoo 5 years ago. It's going to help plant this church. We're looking at Iowa City maybe a year from this summer,
Yeah.
and there's other church plantings on the horizon. So donations to the Midwest Mission Alliance are always welcome.
That's awesome. Okay, terrific. Well, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. So you're planning on leaving this July. We can put your name and contact information in the show notes if anyone's interested in being on the mission team. I'm going to be definitely praying for you guys and for your success, that it just grows rapidly and grows strong. I believe you guys are going to do a fantastic job. You guys have tons of missionary experience and church leadership experience. You guys are a mature couple. You're in the perfect age range right there in your prime years, in your 40s, 50s. I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but I can just tell you guys are right in the perfect sweet spot for doing something like this, because you could do it for the next, you could do it for the next 20 years. You could just really build it. Who's going to be taking over your church when you leave?
So it's a real blessing having Aaron Brefford here. He got the church going, and he is an evangelist as a lay leader, and so that's a real benefit of having him here. So he's taking things on in the interim. We have Kurt and Patty Simmons are also going to offer some support, as they led the church here prior to us coming here. Kurt's in retirement, but they're able to come in on occasion, and I think they're coming up with some long-term plans as well.
Yeah.
Good. That's great. Well, all the best to you, Braxton and Jinky. I think it's inspiring, and I pray that 1,000 people like you raise up and plant churches all across the states and around the world. So I'll be praying for you. And thanks for listening to the program. My goal is to inspire you to live a no-regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Have a great day, and make this life count.
Hey guys, we're the Kieft family.
And we're going on an adventure this summer.
We're so excited to plant the church out in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Because we believe that God still has dreams to plant new churches in new locations. A lot of us became disciples because someone talked about Jesus with us. They interrupted us. Would you like to come out to a Bible study? Would you like to come out to our church? Could I tell you a little bit more about Jesus? Man, I'm so grateful that 30 years ago, someone stopped me and told about Jesus.
And it's not an easy decision. It takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of prayer, a lot of faith.
So we're looking for 30 people to join with us on this adventure. We're looking for 10 people that are young professionals, 10 people in the middle of their life, and for 10 prime timers. Prime timers are those 55 and up. Because we need shepherds and mentors, we need moms and dads, we need young, and we need mature.
We're looking for worship leaders, house church leaders, great at social media, and those that love to serve.
So what does it take to reach people for Jesus? Well, it takes the power of the Holy Spirit, and it takes a willingness to go wherever the Spirit leads. Because we believe that. Because we believe.
Because we believe.
I believe and you believe.
We believe.
I believe I can fly.
Oh, Ginger.
Let's go!
Let's do it! Pack your bags right now.